and you shall receive. It's time for part 2. Now, this is my ranking list on who I think is least likely to win, all the way to who I think is the most likely to win the Traitors Season 3. I left off with Derek Levisser, so he's number 12. Let's get started. Oh, and I should have mentioned, if you have not seen part 1, go watch part 1 and then come back here, because this is not going to make any sense if you didn't. Okay, Derek is number 12 because, hear me out, without being recruited, he has zero chance of winning. I do not believe at the current standing that the Traitors have any desire or reason to really murder Derek, but I do think that his time is going to come. I also had a strong feeling that Derek was going to be working with someone like Dylan Efron. That is definitely solidified in my mind now after the other day's instances that happened on Twitter. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I posted a video about it. So I think he's going to work with people like Dylan Efron who have not played a game like this before. I think he's going to bring them under his wing, and I think that that is going to help him go a little bit further as a faithful. But like I said, unless he gets recruited, he's going to stay pretty medium/low on my list because I don't think he has a chance of winning the game. Eventually, he'll be suspected as a traitor and he'll be voted out at the round table. Which brings me to number 11, Wes Bergman. Similarly to Derek, he just has no chance unless he's recruited as a traitor. I'm sorry, he doesn't. The only thing that I think he's going to do a little bit more than Derek is talk too much. I think he's going to talk and whine a little bit too much, and it's going to rub people the wrong way, and his name will also spread like wildfire eventually at the round table. The only reason Wes is a little bit higher on the list than Derek is because I think Derek's Big Brother legacy is just a little bit more embedded in people's brains. That's it. Number 10 on the list is Gabby Wendy. I love Gabby, but she's gabbing a little bit too much, pun intended. I'm just kidding. No, she doesn't talk too much, but of the 3 people in her alliance, the Bambi's alliance, which is Gabby, Nikki, and Chrishell, Gabby is the most vocal. Gabby is also catching on to things. We see her walking around, and she might be one of the only people that saw the 3 traitors go into that little drink dungeon room, whatever that was, to write down the names of the people that are going to go in the coffin. So once Gabby starts speaking her mind a little bit more, I think she's going to be a little bit of a heavy murder risk. Number 9 is Boston Rob. And the only reason Boston Rob is number 9 and not number 19 is because he's a traitor and because there's enough clueless people in this house still that he might smoke them a little bit for a little while, but eventually they'll have to resort to voting him out. It is my opinion that Boston Rob is a much better solo player than group player. And for that reason, I think if he was a solo traitor, he would do really well on the Traitors. But with him having 3 other people that he has to convince and listen to constantly, I don't know that, I think that they're tying him down. I think Boston Rob, Derek, Wes, and Dylan are absolutely going to be forming an alliance, and I think that that alliance will also carry Boston Rob. That's another reason why I don't have him lower on the list. So while I do think he's safe for a little while, Boston Rob's time is definitely numbered in that castle. Number 8 is Carolyn Weiger, and look, I've ranked her the highest on the list of all the traitors, and that's because she is flying under the radar. The Faithfuls do not believe that she could be a traitor. But just because they don't believe it now doesn't mean they won't change their minds. Look, I think that they are absolutely eventually going to sniff her out once their backs are against the wall and they can't figure out who else could potentially be a traitor. Once the Faithfuls run out of options, they have to point their finger somewhere. And I think that once that happens, Carolyn is going to be sussed out. She's already been sussed out by a few people, but they've said, you know, I think that's just her natural demeanor. And don't get me wrong, it is just her natural demeanor. But being chaotic and jumpy is definitely sus demeanor on a game like the Traitors. Nothing wrong with it, but it's hard to not look suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Number 7, I have Sierra Miller. And look, she's playing a really awesome game in my opinion. But now towards the end of the 3rd episode, when I start seeing her talk at the roundtables, I can see just how spicy this girl can get. I don't think she'll be suspected as a traitor, but I do think she will be an easy person to murder if she continues being so vocal. This brings me to number 6, Dylan Efron, and I'm going to have to tell you why on part 3. Stay tuned.